morning, everyone, and welcome to Viva Cafe con Leche. I am the badass Buddha Lori Monaco. It is Thursday, May 18th. Whoop, whoop. Oh, my goodness. And I am broadcasting from Southern Connecticut, where it is effing cold out. It's like 40 degrees.
No way.
We had warnings issued last night for frost. It didn't frost, at least not where I am, but woo, that was a wake upper. Like I got up this morning, went outside for something. I was like, dang, it's cold. Hey, look at that. Nina's on first. Nina's the first one on this morning. Nina, you're on. Good morning, my dear. Welcome, welcome. And good morning, my fabulous co-host.
Good morning, buenos dias, namaste. And I am here from sunny Tampa, Florida, where it is a high 77 right now.
Wow.
Yes. But the high today is 90 and the low is 73. I so always do not look forward to hell's waiting room on a daily basis, but here we are. And until things change, here I'll be.
You know what's funny though? Like every so often, the tribe's friend, the show's friend, Ephraim will send me pictures. You know, because he does that. He meditates every morning.
Oh yeah.
And he shows me pictures of his spot. You know, as the sun's coming up on the beach. So, you know, that's the beauty of Florida. It's when you like stuff like that, and you can get out and see that. That's where I think that's the big appeal for people. You know. I liked it. I liked it for that reason. When I lived down there, I boated, and we were always in the scuba diving or snorkeling or something like that. But in the summer, that was brutal.
You know, Florida is a vacation spot.
Make sure
my opinion in it, because I've lived here in 96 to 97. I lived in Davenport. In Altamont Springs, and then I came back in 2001, right after the towers went down. No, before the towers went down, I came, and then I went back a year later. Same place, Altamont Springs in Orlando. In 86, I lived in Miami till about 87, almost a year and a half later. I hated Miami. And then this is the longest I've been in Tampa. But let me tell you, I prefer the seasonal change. I prefer a park with trees and grass that you can sit under. Here, to me, it's going on 17 years. And it's like, how did I stay so long somewhere? That was like a bad marriage with no company.
Well, listen, hey, you could go to a park and sit down on the grass. You just have to make sure that you don't sit on a red anthill or fire ant hill, because that's not going to feel good at all. I remember, I mean, it's not that we don't have them in the Northeast. It's just, you know, you have more of them down there. And I remember I was doing yard work in where I was living, and I was out, and I happened to be like messing with something. And all of a sudden I felt this horrific pain in my leg, like literally felt like it was on fire. And I looked down, and there was just like all over me. They were all over my leg.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a reason they call them fire ants, because of the way that their bite feels.
Fire.
And I was just like, and I'm not a person that freaks out about stuff like that, but I was just like, oh, like I couldn't believe how bad it hurt, and then how bad it hurt after. Oh my God. So yeah, you got to be careful.
I guess, you know, to each his own. That's why there's so many places with the option. But when I went home in March, and then I went back in April, it's like I welcomed the putting on the scarf and you know, and the thick sweater, and when you're there you hate it. But then when you're here and Christmas and Thanksgiving and New Year's, it's like 80 degrees. It loses something. So yeah. But you know what? What do they say? When you don't know something, learn, or when you know, do better. And when you do better, continue. So I know I just messed up that whole quote, but that's my perception
Do the best
of
you
it.
can until you know better, and when
There
you
you
know
go.
better, do better.
And when you do better,
yes,
move. So
Good
I
morning,
know.
Milagros.
Hola, Milagro. Buenos
And
días.
Nilsa, good morning, Nilsa.
Hello, Nilsa.
But you know
Green.
what? You were there for a purpose, and and now if it's time for you to go, then it's time for you to go. I mean, I look at this. I look at it the same way. When I'm looking at my current situation, I've been where I am for, I've been back in my hometown for 20. Let me see, when did I come back? So 22 years now. No, 20, almost 23 years. I never, not that I expected to move, but when I first got here, I was happy because I had lived away for so long. But then when I mean, like 7 years ago, I said, I don't want to be here anymore. Like, I don't want to be in Connecticut anymore at all, like the whole state. And 7 years later, I'm still here, so that, and I almost left last year, but I didn't. And so the goal is for this year, because now it really, really feels right. Now things are lining up to where it's pushing me in that direction, which I'm very excited about.
And that's beautiful. And I think you have to know that you want something different. See, the rewiring the brain, as we're going to talk today, isn't about having a plan so cemented on your notepad that when it's time, when the list is complete, you move. No, you move your ass and you write as you go along. And because you have to start where you're at. And anything that you want bad enough, I watch a bootleg of the book club when they go to Europe. My favorite actress, it was Diane Keaton. It was Jane Fonda, and the other two I don't remember. Sounds awful, but they're not my favorites. Anyway, so they finally go on the trip in Europe, but their book club for the month that they spoke all throughout the movie was The Alchemist. So the movie was that much more special. And the quotes they use of Paulo Coelho is exactly what I love and what I've used. And it's about, just trust the universe. That, if you believe in it, the universe will conspire with you. And that's what we need to do. Start where you're at, because we're never going to be ready until we do it. And what did Nina say? I just left Connecticut, moved to Texas. Yay! Wow.
Whereabouts, Nina? Where in Texas are you? I mean, it's such a big state. I like Texas. I've been to numerous cities in Texas.
Were you planning it, Nina, or did you just wake up one day and say, I'm done with this?
Fuck it. I'm out. Bye.
Yeah, because the last time I saw Nina was at Ajusta tu Corona. It's just like with everything. I lived in California for 6 months when I was 16. So I tried different things, and I just want to move out of the US.
I like Austin. That's one of the places I've been to. It's a nice spot.
Where was it that my daughter loved? El Paso? Was it El Paso, San Antonio? One of those.
There's a lot of incredible places, even just in the United States. You don't know until you go there, like there's certain states that I had wanted to visit that I've not had a chance. Like I've wanted to go to Washington State and Oregon. But when I took that one trip, I was so pleasantly surprised about Idaho. Like, who the hell did I know about Idaho? I was just thinking potatoes. But when we were headed that way and I started to look at things to do over there, I was like, oh my God, this state is absolutely beautiful. And that would have been a consideration for me to move, except it's hella expensive. Apparently, a lot of people from California were moving out, and they were just scooping up land. And the pricing, I mean, it was crazy. Because I wanted lands, like I wanted something that had a lot of property. It was crazy. So I was just like, well, and it's cold, it's pretty cold up there. That's pretty much why I've honed it down to, like 1 or 2 specific areas to where I want to go. And that's, and the finalization of it will be actually this week. This weekend, I'm taking a trip down to a specific area and finalizing things. And hopefully I'll have some great conversation for next week. Because you're right, changing your, rewiring your brain might actually consist of getting your ass out of where you are and an environmental change. And it doesn't have to be a long-term one like Nina moving. It could be within 30 days, found a place to live out here, launch my code. There we go. That's it. That's the way it
That's
works.
amazing.
Good morning, Tiffany. It could be just to get out of your environment enough to where you just clear your head. But I will tell you this, a weekend is not going to do it unless you go by yourself. A weekend is not going to do it. When I went to Costa Rica with the kids last year, that was actually a very big game changer for me. Like I was so excited about Costa Rica that I actually wanted to move there. Logistically, I just couldn't figure out how to make it work, and nor would the universe. So that doesn't mean I may not still get there at some point in my life, or at least go there on vacation. But it definitely set the tone for me as far as looking at any and all possibilities, because it was that trip that actually catapulted me into creating a move for last year, like stepping out, looking for places to live, finding a job temporarily until my business could sustain me. But it was that's what it was. It was that trip, because when I said I want to live in Costa Rica, and then I realized it's going to be a little too challenging, especially with my youngest. So I said, well, then where else can I go? Because I don't want to be here anymore. And that's what started it. So sometimes you have to go. And we were there about 10 days. So that was 10 fabulous days.
I think anytime. Good morning, Desiree. Good morning, Tiffany, Brian. And I think that whenever you trust yourself enough to do something, within 30 days, she just decided to move a couple states away. Now that's power, that's courage, that's strength in doing all of that. And having your partner agree with you, like your partner in crime, like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Let the chips fall where they may, because we got this. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter where you land, as long as you believe that you can do it, that you're going to try the best, apply everything, exhaust all your options, and make it work. If it doesn't work after you've exhausted all your options, then of course, then you say, oh, I guess this isn't where I'm supposed to be, and not regret it. Take away from what you got and then go on to the next thing. I've never regretted anything that didn't work that I tried.
I agree with you. I'm so glad you said that, because I have made some very bad decisions with moves and anything else. But with the moves especially, it was an experience, and I got to see, and I got to decide, did I want to be here? Was this nice? Did I like it? Was this a place for me to be? Did I feel it? Like I had the opportunity when I was living in South Carolina and my first husband, like that relationship ended. I had the opportunity to either move back to Connecticut or move to California, where my sister was. And I went out to California for 3 weeks. She had her own house, and it was great. She had a great big property. And then I went to Connecticut for 3 weeks, and Connecticut was rainy the whole time. Like it was the oddest thing, but it felt right. Like it, and you would think and say, well, who would want to like pass California? I mean, California is beautiful over there, but as much as it was great, Connecticut felt right. And that's where I went, I just think I overstayed my welcome in Connecticut, but everything has a time and a reason, right?
Well, then look what you just said, because sometimes we do that. Something feels right? Rewiring the brain doesn't mean you evict all the stuff. To me, what you just said is very important. You said it felt right, like it was home for you. So what we got to remember is when we make a decision based on our intuition and our gut telling us this is it, brace yourself, because it's not going to be a rose garden all the time with beautiful butterflies. You're going to have some bees and wasps in there too. So when the bad happens, when the hurt comes, when the failures appear, You got to sit back and never think anything of it was a mistake or a poor choice. It is maktab.
Yes.
When you go somewhere and it felt that right and it felt peaceful and home, remember that when things are always going right, there's always something that's going to come in and try and disrupt your life in the negative way. And it probably will succeed in certain areas. And we're going to hurt and we're going to be wounded and we're going to lose things, a house, a car, a loved one. But it was all on the path of where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Everything that happens, see, we think only good things supposed to happen. When you're happy and you're good, you don't appreciate as much. And anybody can argue that with me. Come on, bring it. Because people will say, oh no, I learned a lot when I'm happy. I'm more astute when I'm happy. Really.
Shit.
But
My
you're
best
more
lessons came back when I was like awful.
when you are shook, when something is removed from you without your permission, when you gave your heart to something and they just squeezed it in their hand and shattered it. It could be 1,000,001 things that is going to bring you somewhere. That's where you're going to stand up and says, what have I been doing? I put myself last. And you start building on that you forgot when you came, you saw, and you believed you conquered. And then everything goes to shit. And now you want to blame God and the universe and the person who hurt you. And it's always everybody else.
It's so much easier.
And so remember, when you reach a decision, like you just said, when you were in California and then you came to Connecticut and it was that blah, rainy season, you still felt like you were home. Well, shit happens at home too, in the security of our homes. Doesn't mean that we deserved any of it, nor that we were above it. Because pain does make you feel more alive. It makes you feel more determined not to be back there. I was gonna say so. Oh, I saw this meme, and I've seen it a couple times, but it says when a guy, when a girl's in a relationship and they're cheated on or they're left or whatever, people think she's gonna do this. No, that's when they get a job, they open a business, they get a Harvard degree, all of this. And you've seen it, right? And I was like, sometimes we need to be catapulted in that way through pain, because that's when we really are at the core of who we are.
Actually, listen, let me interject with that. I love that example, because it is, when we watch a movie, think about this, right? Because this is still along the lines of retraining your brain, because we're talking about you looking at yourself and deciding, right? We've been doing this for the last 5 months. Looking at yourself and deciding, are there things you need to work on in your life? Do you need to do more? Okay. And are you living your best life? Are you representing your best self? So when we watch a movie and we see that scenario play out that you just described, the woman gets cheated on, he like puts her to the ground, and then all of a sudden she's like low, but then she just takes her life back and she just steps up, right? And we're in the back cheering. We're very happy, because that's what we want to see in a movie. When you have that underdog, when you have that person that hit that rock bottom place, you want to see them go up. Yet so many of us in our lives play that movie where we just stay down. We just stay down. Now, picture you watching a movie like that. You'll be like, are you kidding me? I just spent, 3 hours and $30 watching this movie where the person never gets, the revenge or, the success or anything, and comes back up again. So we allow that in our own life movie, but we want it so bad for the actual movie where they got knocked out, but they came back up swinging, and that woman is successful and she's got that education and now she's making the money, and then the man is like all and you know what it reminds me of, because I was watching it the other about 2 weeks ago, was Tyler, me and Tyler Perry. God, I would love to meet that man. You have no idea. It was Why Did I Get Married? The first one. I don't really like the second one, but the first one. And Jill Scott's character, Jill Scott's beautiful, by the way, but her husband is a prick and he's cheating on her with her best friend. And he just like, it comes out that he's cheating and she's devastated. He cleaned out her bank accounts. Like, he's a complete asshole. And she ends up falling for a guy that's gorgeous, the sheriff of the town. He falls in love with her, starts to lose weight. They all meet at their friend Janet Jackson's award ceremony, and he hadn't seen her in months. And she's like thinner, and she just looks fabulous. And she shows up with the guy, and he's all like, mind you, he's with the girl still, that her best friend, and he's all just like, "Wow, you look great." And you're like, "Yeah," and you're like, in your face, you know. Good morning, Warnett. My friend Warnett's here. Good morning, Warnett.
You know, I think that it all goes back to what we were talking about in the beginning of all these programs. Awareness of who you are, of what you like, of what you dislike, you know, of what you can tolerate, what you won't tolerate, boundaries, you know, all of this. It goes back to that. When you rewire your brain, you have to always put yourself first. You have to put yourself first, and then you have to open up to see, what is it about me that holds on to people, places, and things that no longer serve me? Yeah. What is the guilt attached to these things? When you're rewiring your brain, you got to rewire your brain to where it is all about who you are and where you feel you need to be in life right now. Because nothing that happened to you in the past should dictate where you are today or get in your plans for tomorrow.
Yep.
Because whatever happened to you, that's behind you. You survived it. Why are you still holding on to it? You're here today and you can talk about it because it is in your past. Now, wounds happen, scars occur. People who don't know me might think, "Oh, what is she talking about? She must have never been hurt." But I am not a victim to my circumstances. I have never been a woe is me type of person. I can tell my story as though I'm speaking my story for someone else. Like I'm sharing someone else's story, because it doesn't have such an impact where it wounds me anymore. Where someone from my past who has betrayed me does not hold space in me. And when you sit in your peace and you go and you rewind and you travel down memory lane through the good and the bad memories, and you can come back and say, "Whew, I went through a lot of shit." Sip your tea or coffee and get up and get dressed and go do something. Then you are the most important person in your life right now. Because when you hold on to all that shit that happened years ago, you're not putting yourself first. You're not rewiring your brain to say, "Wow, I am a warrior."
No, well, you know, you're wiring it to stay exactly where you've been.
So you can't complain to me. Like people who know me know, I hate when they're like, "Oh, that smell triggered me to my ex of 10 years ago when he did this, and that." So your ex is more important than you are. Because those triggers are attached to people from your past. Because when you heal. Because our stories aren't for us, they are impact, of course. And when you remove that woe is me part of it, it is that much more powerful. It is that much more effective. It is that much more real to the person listening to it and saying, "Wow, she went through something similar to me. Now I'm giving that push because I'm filling myself with the power of hope to know that I too can get on the other side of this." When we remove the victimizations of the woe is me, let's have a party. So when we go and we move forward, we are making sure that we have grown like the lotus flower, that we have grown through that dark, murky mud and still came out and blossomed. We are that bumblebee that the scientist till this day does not know how scientifically a bumblebee can fly with that little fat body and those two little wings.
And they're so cute.
So when we decide to rewire our whole being, our existence, as to why are we here when so many others that we've known did not make it this far? Why did we go through what we went through and still have the capacity to make decisions to better ourselves? And you can make those decisions without second guessing yourself when you leave the past wherever the fuck it belongs behind you. You cannot stay. I listened to my coworker the other day, and she's so bitter over something that happened 15 years ago. And I'm like, where are you? And then she got upset with me. Well, I'm right here. Well, no, you're not. Because you're here in body, but
That's right.
You haven't matured.
But that's because she doesn't want to. Like and see, this is what we've.
But they want to blame. They want to blame their hurts on what somebody did. So that person is more important than you.
Right. They put the power into them, and then they take no accountability, and they don't want to grow, and they just want to blame. But see, this is the difference. This is what we've been working with you since January. Is we want you to finally say, no mas, I've had enough. I am not going to give that power away. I'm not going to give my power away and blame other people. And yes, it sucks sometimes to take accountability. Shit, I made so many bad choices in my life. When I sit there and if I created a list from when I was a child of bad choices, it would be a long effing list. I'm going to tell you that right now. But the question is what did I learn from this? And that's where the rewiring comes in. It's like, and especially if I keep seeing the same shit happening all the time, I didn't learn much from it. And that's exactly what happened when it came to my relationships with people, my intimate relationships. The same people kept coming into my life and doing the same thing to me. And that's when I had to say, what is the only common denominator here? And it was me. And I said, okay, I mean, I could sit there and talk shit about what they did and who they are, because I have every right to, because they weren't doing respectful, kind things to me, but that's who they are. And it's not my job to change them. All I can do now is say, well, what do I need to do for me? And I know I got to run in a little bit to go bring my kid to the bus, but I want to run. I found this phenomenal article. It's called 5 Simple Methods to Retrain Your Brain. It's written by Edith Moskowitz. And I'm going to name the 5 things. I won't have time to discuss each one until I get back, but it'll start a conversation. So first off, you have to want to, okay? Like no more. Okay. Like Gladiator Guru said, when you keep complaining about the same thing over and over again, there's a lot of people that don't want to hear it because you're just in it. You're not wanting to do anything about it. So you also have to be that friend that tells somebody about that and says, I can't listen to this anymore. You're either going to talk about something else, or I can't hang out with you or you're going to have to take action because I can't do this anymore. And you cut them off. So we have to also be responsible and not enable them. But this is not about them. This is about us. So 5 simple methods. Number 1 is, to turn my page, tap into happy memories when you get triggered. Okay, we'll talk about that afterwards, or maybe not. I don't know. We'll see how Gladiator Guru feels about it. Say positive affirmations while working out. I will say about this one is the reason they're saying say positive affirmations while you're working out is when you're doing physical activity, especially cardiovascular, when you're circulating, you release very powerful, happy chemicals in your brain. It's just the way it is. Even if you don't like what you're doing, the physical activity does it. When you couple that with positive affirmations, it becomes very powerful. All right. What else? Explore the negative thoughts with curiosity and offer alternatives. Sit with those negative thoughts for a little bit. Think about them. Why am I feeling this way? What's going on here? What can I do about this? What am I learning here? Remind yourself that your brain is designed to change. Remember, we talked about this on Tuesday. It doesn't matter how old you are. It just, the only thing that will stop you is if you have disease or trauma that's caused damage to your brain. But even then, you'd be surprised how resilient the brain could be. And then she talks about hidden commands. So I'm going to leave with that so my kid doesn't miss her bus. And I will be back in a little bit.
Okay.
Good morning, Carmen Nieves.
Carmencita. Well, those were nice that she was saying. And maybe she can, when she comes back, and talk about that. But, you know, I wrote this article, and it has to do with all that. It's about 5 inviting pillars into your life. Okay, so when we're searching for who we are, we leave out very important ingredients. So then our life tends to taste bland. You know, it doesn't have that flair that we see in others because we didn't add the right ingredients that fits our persona, that fits our lifestyle. You know, we're taking a little bit from one person, and we like something that someone else is doing and not necessarily pertaining to who we are. So when we add all these ingredients thinking we're going to be happy, we're just not, because we're trying to copy or imitate someone else. And when you see somebody walking around and you're like, oh my God, how could they wear that? Or how could they do that? That's confidence. That's because they're being exactly who they are. And remember, when we don't use discernment, we're really just a lost, you know, those containers you just throw things in, because we can't even see beauty in somebody being exactly who they want to. They dust off the opinions of others. They're not easily affected by people insulting them or looking down on them. When you can walk in your truth, you will be ostracized. You know, people will look at you funny. People will say something, your own family and friends. But if that's what brings you joy within, is that what keeps your confidence level, and knowing that you still have yet to learn, but you're happy with what you have already invited into your life, then that's you being and living in the true essence of who you are. So, you know, we walk around through life and we think we have it all, but do you feel that joy within? Do you feel that happiness within? You know, you don't have to look outside of you to see, what is it that I like? What is it that I want? It's good. I love people watching. And when you people watch, you see a lot of things. You can create a whole story and people having conversations that you cannot hear because they're far away, but their interaction, you know, you can like string along a story. Me being a storyteller, I love to sit and people watch, because reading their body language like alludes me to what's going on, and then it's like you put it together. I love who I am. I love the bad parts of me. I love the parts of me that I've grown out of. I didn't discard them because they carried me for the most part of my life, and they're called my survival lifestyle, my survival skills. And so there's no part of me that I ever disliked, hated, or was ashamed of in my entire life. And I'll be 55 soon. So the article's long, so I'm not going to read it, but I will be announcing in what magazine it will be published in. But, you know, one of the biggest things about rewiring your brain is my other article, but it's very short. And it's about stop lying to yourself. When you stop lying to yourself, you can embrace your true potential. When you stop believing, oh, when I lose weight, I'll do this. When my hair grows out, I'll do this. You know, when my skin becomes clear, then I'll do this. When I get a better car, everything is always but. And whatever you said, I love myself, but I'm 20 pounds overweight. Guess what? When you said that but, you just erased all the good things you just said. And all anyone is listening to, but I'm overweight. And I spent many years doing that. And now, you know what? El cuerpo de guitarra sin las cuerdas. I have that shape of a guitar without the chords because I have a chicho here and a chicho there. And guess what? They're my chichos. And they've accompanied me through it all. So stop lying to yourself, because I'm just going to read the top thing. It says, so you spent your days pretending to be someone you're not, telling yourself you're doing just fine while your true potential languages in a dusty corner of your psyche. Well, congratulations. You've managed to lie to the most important person in your life, which is yourself. But you're not alone, because many people are held back by their own negative self-talk and the fear of failure. And why do we use that? I think having that fear still set up in our minds is like that safety net. You know, like, I'm going to try this, but if it doesn't work out, I'll bounce back because I have that other thing that never really worked for me, but it was always there when I fell. So then I can figure something else out. When we remove that safety net, either we do what we set out to do, or we realize very quick we took a detour and let's get back on track. So what are the I'm going to just read the 4 that I have here. Number 1 is stop lying to yourself. At Milagros, I love everything that I am too. You know, I'm in menopause, so I do everything I possibly can to avoid the menopause belly, like they say, which I feel like it's an uphill battle. And some days I'm like, fuck it, let it hang out. And some days I'm very determined. But in none of those days am I bullying myself for not being the ideal weight of what society deems appropriate. I just want to be healthy. I just want to tuck a shirt in every now and again. So the first thing, stop lying to yourself. It's not doing you any favors. Life isn't a theatrical performance. And you're certainly not vying for that Oscar, right? You're not supposed to be the best thing. So let's drop the act. Try being yourself. Try for 72 hours to just be yourself and record it sometimes. Sometimes we have to introduce ourselves to ourselves, and that's how we rewire this brain of ours. This is our best friend and our worst enemy, but it's more so of our worst enemy because it tends to hold in right there in the forefront all the negative things that we think about ourselves, and we think how someone's not going to be there for us. So, to be honest about your abilities, your dreams, and aspirations, you are a discreet artist, an undercover wordsmith, or a stealthy business visionary. Which one are you? Because you're something brilliant. You know, it's time to uncover what is it that you are. Whatever you're calling, stand before the mirror and proclaim it proudly. Confess your true love of self. By doing this, you acknowledge the I am of the I am within. And while you're feeling empowered, discard the outdated script. You're moving on to bigger and better things, which is getting to know intimately who the hell you are. And I've said this since the beginning of the shows. Look in the mirror and remind yourself how awesome you are. Look in the mirror and tell yourself, I do love you. And there's a work in process happening, but I'm never going to abandon you. I'm never going to lead you astray. You know why? Because we all have some form of abandonment issues. Whether you were a latchkey kid, one of your parents left, the other one got remarried, so you felt like you were exactly what I was, you know, that black sheep middle child that people overlook. And I believe I stand with the middle child thing because we are very strong. We are very resilient. We're not the older one taking care of us, and I'm not the younger one looking up at everybody. I'm just right in the middle. So we all have some sort of those issues. And sometimes we just got to show up for ourselves. We got to love ourselves in those little nooks and crannies that we felt forgotten of the past. We are the empowered versions of our yesterdays. You know, we are the ones that can comfort without feeling indebted to anybody. So I think when you Rewire your brain, rewire yourself as the CEO of a lifetime company. No one's going to replace you. They'll try to disrupt you, but no one can replace you in your life. So you have to show up, you have to dress the part, and you have to stand firm in what the core beliefs of that corporation is. And don't let nobody come, no matter how sorry you feel for them, how much in love you fall for them, or how much that nurturing self cares for that person. You stand strong in your philosophical being. You hold on to your core values, and you set those boundaries, and you leave room for slides, because you will fall.
Yeah.
Leave some room for that, because that's when you can carve out that extra courage that's been like deep in your soul that you forgot about because everything seems to be going well. Rewire your brain to know I am all I have, and I will falter, but I will succeed, because that is the destiny of my birth. And then as you're going along, you might change whatever it is you're doing, but you're never going to give up on who you are and what your capabilities are. That's how you rewire your brain. Whatever happened, happened. What's to come will come. Where I am is the most important place of all. Go ahead, Lori.
Lather, rinse, repeat. Lather, rinse, repeat. That's what it is with rewiring, is being aware, making the change, and then repeating it. Being aware, making the change, and repeating it. And it is not always easy. We'll make changes that are easy, until we reach that really uncomfortable spot. And that's where tribe is really important. That's where your support system is really important, or working with a coach or a therapist or whatever, because you've got to, sometimes you need that little extra kick in the ass, that little pull, that little push. And they'll say, I know you can do this. You're on your path. You're doing this. But you also have to be very willing to hear what they're saying to you. These are the support people, not the naysayers, not the haters. You have to align yourself with those people that will be supportive of the person that you are meant to be. And the only way that happens is by sitting with yourself and giving yourself clarity. You have to sit still. You have to really decide what it is that you want in your life and what you want to create for yourself. And then draw those people in that will be supportive of that. And sometimes shifts happen even when you don't expect it, because sometimes you could be at a certain level of growth and there's certain people that are around you and you're thinking, this is great. These are really supportive people. And then as you grow even more, you start to see things a little differently and realize, okay, that person or those people were seasonal. Like they played a role in my growth at this time, but now I've gotten to another level where they're kind of suppressing my growth a little bit. And you can decide, do I take a step away? Do I just push, do I move myself out of that, or do I allow them in but have like a different, like a little bit more distant relationship than to what I was? But it's all clarity, because the key thing is you have to say, I deserve this. This is what I want. I waited long enough, and I should not have to wait on myself or the things that I want in my life. I let other people get in the way, and I let situations get in the way, and this isn't going to work for me anymore. And it is scary sometimes. It is, you have to be courageous. You have to be willing to do that. And I find myself constantly hitting walls where whenever I'm whenever I'm at the edge of that comfort zone where I've been a little uncomfortable, but now it's going to require me to get very uncomfortable, I have a tendency to just sit there. It's like I'm standing on the edge of the pool and I'm going, yeah, no, I'm going to jump in a second. Yep. Wait. Okay. Wait, I'm going to go. I put my toe in. Woo, that's really cold. Yeah, no, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And I know full well with myself that once I jump in that pool, I know that I will get used to the water. And if I don't, I have the option to come out of the water, but I know it will be okay. I know this about myself. But again, rewiring of the brain, there's still deep set that little belief that knows that I can do this, but I can't always do this. And who says I can't do that? Me. That's me. It might have been things that were said to me when I was younger. It might have been actions that were done to me when I was younger. It might have been the things that I said to myself. Could also be based on complete fabrication. You know, a lot of times that what we've learned over the years, what our memory says we learned, sometimes isn't even 100% accurate. In fact, a lot of times it's not very accurate.
Yeah.
So you start questioning yourself. If I believe this about myself, how is it even true? I'm the only one who made it true. So that means that if I made it true, I can make it untrue. And it is easier said than done, but it just requires that decision to say, I matter, and I'm going to do this for me, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to get there, and then move forward. And if it means learning, pulling yourself away from stuff, you know, it's interesting. Like, I have such a rough time with social media. I really do. I really don't like it. I've really come to that conclusion. It's sad to say. I love it for certain things. I love seeing people celebrating what they're doing, where they're going. I love that part. I love the birthdays. I love getting reminded. But I hate being on there. I don't even like posting much for myself and or for my business. And so I've had a real rough time having to figure that piece of it out, especially for my business. And so that's a belief. You know, for me, it's like, I don't really care for it. I don't really like it. Why is it? What is it about that I don't like? Is it just because I feel like it consumes my time, or is there something underlying, you know? And I don't know. Like, I haven't figured that piece out, but it's not getting in the way of things for me. Maybe it is for my business because I'm not putting myself out there enough. But those are just things that I sit with. They come into my mind, and I say, okay, what can I do to retrain my brain to be more open to social media, especially if it is going to help my business? And I have to get out of that comfort zone. I have to make the effort. I have to schedule myself and do those things that I don't necessarily like to do, because that is, you know, if it's essential to my business, then it's something that must be done. And so that means that I have to retrain my brain to come with an idea of thinking and saying, this will help. Or I may say, you know what, I don't need social media.
I was just going to say,
I'm gonna
business. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You know, it's okay. I was going to say that we could go back to the time when we didn't use social media and built our businesses, you know, but and the irony is I'm saying this and everybody's watching this on social media, but those are the things that I'm always working on with myself. And that's not just the things that I'm working on with myself, but retraining is lifelong. But when you come up with the attitude of saying, but it's so much fun and it's so worth it. And when I get nervous and I get to that point where I'm out of my comfort zone and I feel like I want to back up, I feel like I want to quit, that's when I need to reach out to people. Like Gladiator Guru and I were talking the other day, Tuesday after the show. And, you know, I do not hesitate to tell her how grateful I am to be friends with her, because again, taking stock in, you know, situations and the people around me, and coming to another phase in my life where there's certain people that I need to push out. There's certain people that I need to not push out, but just kind of push away. And she's not one of them. She's the person that I look at and say, I like the guidance. I love the friendship. I love that we could talk about anything. Like, we talk about the stupidest shit sometimes and then laugh. And then other times we talk about some really heavy duty stuff. But either way, there's no judgment. There's no lecturing. Like, you should do that and you should do that. It's always like pertinent questions. She tells me like it is. And I do the same for her. And that, to me, when I think about it and say that, see, that's helping me retrain my brain. That the individuals in my life that do this, that and I can do for them, helps me retrain my brain. It helps me get past those little humps that get into my way. Good morning, Sylvia, and good morning, Arlene and Darlene.
Yay! I agree. I think that when we become totally invested in who we are, we'll figure out what works for us and what doesn't. The biggest investment in anything you do in your entire life is investing in yourself.
Yeah.
A lot of us, let me tell you, I'm a mother, I'm a grandmother, but a lot of us sell ourselves short because we believe that we shouldn't or cannot do something because we have children. Oh, you just don't understand. I can't do that right now because my kids. But then you meet single moms who work, go to college, and still spend very important times with their kids. So it's about how you organize your life and what it is that you do. But never put yourself, or we have put ourselves in a certain corner and then reach a point in our lives where we feel resentful towards people. And nobody made us feel like that.
No.
Hold yourself accountable for whatever happened in the past. Even if you were betrayed, how did you handle it? You know, I joke around and I always say, every relationship I've been in, I've walked away. I didn't like it. That's it. No more. No mas. I'm out.
I would have loved to have been like that.
Except Eric. Eric said, girl, you ain't leaving me. And he died before me. So I look back at that and I think I was thinking about that the other day because somebody asked about my status. You know, wow, you're still single. Aren't you lonely? And I've never felt lonely. I don't feel alone. Do I miss intimacy? I'm a sapiosexual. Of course, I love to have deep, intimate,
Yes.
magically orgasmic conversations. So, yes, I
literal and the figurative.
Yeah, but I'm not. I have reached a point where I've always known what I want. I've always went towards it. And back in the day, there were women, family, friends that didn't understand how I can just pack up myself and my kids and say, I don't want to do this no more. There's no growth. I'm not happy. And leave a 13-year relationship and walk out on a 7-year relationship. You know, be married, then get pregnant at 16, had my kid at late, almost 18 years old, and then become a single teenage mom because I don't want to be in that environment anymore. So you know what? I'm very proud of myself and of my accomplishments. Do I falter? Do I fail all the time? Do I have characteristics that bother other people? Hell yeah. I interrupt. I'm very loud. When I'm opinionated, it sounds like I'm yelling at you. I don't own a clock. So many of those here would say, I never show up on time, but I feel like I'm never late. So, I mean, it's all of those things that happen. But the bottom line is when you invest in who you are, you, not a mother, not a wife, not a daughter, but in who you are, because we're all designed differently. Show up for yourself as who you really are. You know, be that person that's going to be like, whoo, and pop up like slut magic into your life. And love your scars. Learn to love your poor decisions because it got you to where you are today. So what you thought was a poor decision is actually, it led you to where you are today.
Well, let me interject on that. If you are not thinking that your poor decision was a good thing, that's where you need to make the change. Because if you say, oh, I can't, I made a really bad decision and I'm living with this and I'm not happy and I'm embarrassed or I feel stupid, then do something about it. That's just it. You did it. I think that's where we falter sometimes. We made the bad decision, but that doesn't mean you have to keep living the bad decision. You made the bad decision. Make the decision to get away from the bad decision. Own it. Say, yep, I screwed up.
And let it go.
I can't tell you how much it pisses me off to where people just refuse to own it. They always use the word, I made a mistake. Listen, I'm not going to swear, but I really would love to. You did. That's not a mistake. You made a choice. You knew what you were doing. You made the choice anyway. And then you want to pretend like you're not accountable to it because that's what a mistake is. A mistake does not allow you to be accountable. It's like, look, if you really want to make big changes in your life, we were in that whole month of accountability. You got to dive in and own it. Own your part and say, yep. And now, because I'm the one who made that choice, that means I can make a different choice. If you hand over that power, then you don't make it. You're not giving yourself the choice. So
can I
you
ask you something though? What would you say? And what you just said is very powerful, and you'll know where I'm coming from with this. When you say it really irritates you when somebody says, I made a mistake, when actually it was a choice, right?
Yeah.
That irritates you. But what do you say about the person that holds on to that resentment about the mistake that they claim when you actually know was a choice? Who's really dragging it out? The person who fucked up, or the person who's holding on to that resentment of that choice in the past? Who's wrong, right? Not wrong, but who do you think needs to rewire themselves? Because the person who made the poor choice and caused it a mistake, he's done with it. She's done with it. They're like, what the fuck? I don't even remember that. But then you got someone like me that's holding on to that happened so many years ago. And I speak of this because it's been a little over 2 years and my mom has passed. And the other day I was doing something and I heard a song and I said, I cannot believe that I wasted so much of my adult life in resentment towards her. So that's something I have to heal from. And it's going to take me a while because I don't want to rush through it. I want to feel the sting of it all because it was my choice. Even though the resentment was formed as a child, I still could have revisited many seasons in my life. But I chose not to because it was just easy to resent her. Not realizing that we're all here temporarily. So what I've learned from death in rewiring my brain is I'm going to get angry because it's part of my persona. I'm Italian and Puerto Rican. I grew up in a very, very violent household. I'm going to get angry. I like being angry. But I don't want to hold on to shit anymore. I want to accept apology.
Me either.
And it's going to come a time where, and I think it's happened, where I've apologized. Or I'm like, you know what? Whatever happened between us happened. Let's just let it go. Because you know what? I have to value the life that I've lived. The pains I felt, the joys I've just celebrated in. The tears I've cried through both happy and sad moments, which are still few, but they're coming. And I'm just saying that we also, when we get angry at somebody, we got to question, why are we angry at them? And why, when we're speaking about something that we were angry that they did 5, 10, 15 years ago, why is it still messing with me? But before we leave, I didn't read my Stop Lying to Yourself. There's 4 of them. And this first one, of course, is stop lying to yourself and do that. Be honest with your abilities and your dreams, because that's what we're talking about here. We had the ability to overcome things from our past, and we have rewired our brain. That's what the Badass Buddha and I have been here talking about today. And I love Carmen, Sylvia, Nina, all those that have shared. You know why? Because it's exciting. We forget because we're living our lives. We're being, right? But then we have conversations like that. We're like, oh my God, that's right, because I did this and that. And it's exciting to be reminded that we have rewired ourselves in some way, shape, or form. And that's called growth, no matter what size it is. It can be the size of a mustard seed or the whole city of Bridgeport. Doesn't matter. What matters is that you're recognizing it. And sometimes we go through the things, because Badass Buddha and I speak of this when we're on our conversations. We go through things that we're just going through. We're just doing it, not realizing that we are making grand changes within our souls. So stop and say, okay, I have to be honest with me. What am I good at? Because a lot of people want to be coaches and a lot of people can't be coaches. And Lori, you know this. There's a lot of people who want to be artists and painters, and they just, everybody's style is different. Figure out what you can do, and then be the best badass at it. And if you just want to do it as a hobby, then do it, because if that's what stirs you, I want to go back to crocheting because that used to make me very peaceful. Okay, so do that. 2, never give up no matter what. Never, ever, ever give up on who you are. Change shit, but don't give up. If you decide to run a marathon, you can't do it in your heels. So you have to change up and find the right pair of sneakers. And you're gonna run at your pace. And even if you're the last one, 5 hours after the marathon, running through that finish line, you did it, right? You did it. It doesn't matter that you are coming in with the crowd or that you had a set time in order for you to have been successful at it. No, that's bullshit. That's all the lies you feed yourself. That's you going by what other people deem important. When you decide to run a marathon or a half marathon and you're running, didn't you say you wanted to do it, badass? And you're running at your pace. And anybody say, hey, and all of a sudden all you see is paper cups all over the floor and empty water bottles and everybody's gone. Do you just stop and say, fuck it? No. I see the finish line and you make it and you cross it. And that accomplishment is all the nourishment you need. You don't need all the hoorah from everybody. Be your own cheerleader in whatever it is you do. So never, ever give up. Number 3 is stick with it. You know, sometimes we feel like we're walking on thin ice and, oh my God, I gained a little weight. This ice is going to crack under me. But you know what? You're never going to know if it is or isn't unless you walk across it.
That's right.
And if you fall, oh, well, get the fuck back up. Because sometimes when I speak about this and I speak to people, it's really like, because it's liberating to know that you succeeded in something your way and in your time. You weren't rushed. You weren't forced. You weren't made to feel less than if you didn't do it. You did it. What happened?
Oh,
Did you?
Oh, I don't know. What did I do? The hell? Put yourself. Oh my God. Sorry about that. You stop clicking yourself out. Click yourself back in. Here we go.
I didn't. That was on your end.
No. I know it was, and then when I went to go click you back in, you kept clicking.
You don't want. If you want me to shut up, say so. So then you stick with it, right? Because it's downright liberating to know who the fuck you are. And you know what? This is who I am. And a lot of people are like, oh, you curse, you do this, you that. You know what? I don't curse all the time, but sometimes I make a point, and it's okay. I'm okay with me. But the sooner you accept that not everyone will be on your team, the quicker you'll find your tribe. But until you find your tribe, seek yourself. Because when you know who the hell you are, you know what people you want to spend your valuable time with. Because time is all we own, really. It is the most priceless commodity you have. So you're either going to go out there and put yourself last and let people waste your time that you could be doing something productive, whether it be reading, writing, painting, or just being, or you're going to have people just come and consume it, making you feel emptier, yet heavier.
Can I just mention about what you just said? I so agree with that because, you know, my whole life I've always been a people pleaser, and I was always trying to get friends, and I was always trying to fit in, and I was always like trying. And in the last 4 years, when I've really aligned with myself and been just so okay with who I am, I can walk into a party, I can go anywhere, and I'm fine being by myself. I, in fact, like being around myself, you know? It's so funny because I have more people gravitate and want to be my friend now than I ever did before. Like people, I'll be sitting down and people will just start talking to me and they want to get to know me. And it's beautiful. Like, I'm not saying anything arrogant about it. I'm like, wow, this is really great. And I
even have to add that in because it's not arrogance. It's a state of being, knowing that you are.
I know that. I know that. Yeah. But it's interesting. And it's like, if it's like, wow, it's so interesting. Had I known this when I was a child, I could have been in a completely different place. So now what I do, I mean, you can't go back in time. So now what I do is that's what the information I impart upon my children, specifically my 2 youngest. is to put that out there and explain this and just say people will gravitate towards you. And that is exactly what happens, especially to my younger daughter. My youngest daughter is the same way. She just is who she is, and she just goes about her business. And if she's by herself, she's fine. And if people come by, she'll play with them. And it's so interesting to watch, you know. So that was real. I loved that. I loved that you said that.
Yeah, it's like you have the option. How many people love a lazy river? And the rivers are beautiful. I'll take a river over a lake or the ocean any given day. The sound of the water streaming over the rocks is the most relaxing thing. And to see the water just go. And so everything she was just saying hits, because the lazy river is something that you can walk through, right? Yeah, how many of us drown in it? Because we forget that all we have to do is stand up. So stand up and allow yourself to be free from the burdens of your past. Stand up and move out of that place of fear and get on the path of faith. Stand up and fully walk out of that assignment. Because half the time we're doing jobs we weren't assigned. And then we wonder why we're tired, lethargic, why we're miserable going somewhere that we had no business being at in the first place. Stand up and fight for everything it is that you believe in. And to do that, you got to stand up and take your voice back. Because when you sit in peace and discover who you are, that is how you invite your power back. And inviting your power back helps you with much more ease to rewire your brain into what it should be, not what it has been. But back to everything we talk about, everything is in your hands. Everything you desire to be, everything of how your life should be is in your capable hands. When you allow other people the needle and thread to sew your fabric, it's going to be just a hot mess. It is in your capable hands to lead the life that you were born to live with a purpose that you have been given. So you can't blame people, places, and things. Take a deep, deep look into who you are. Value that person, because guess what? You're all you got.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to give it away, don't complain.
That's right, because we don't want to hear it. And I don't want to hear it from myself either. I have to remind myself.
You got to stick with it. No, never give up. Stick with whatever it is you have going on. Deal with the failures, because you're going to have them. Failures is success turned inside out, mi gente. That's all it is. It reminds you of how comfortable you got and what you failed to do, or what you left out, or what you gave away thinking you didn't need it, or the other person said they needed it more. However it is happening in your life, failure is success turned inside out. And sometimes when we're riding that wave, we need that bump to remind us to secure ourselves a little more tighter. And there you have it. So if you're no nonsense, straight to the point, listen to yourself. If you have a little bit of doubts of your capabilities, sit down and listen to yourself. Talk to yourself in the mirror. You're your best friend, your twin sister. You are the most high, because the I am lives within your I am. So have a conversation with yourself. And with that, I think we went over. So I look at it and everybody's on. Let me tell you something.
You say it like it doesn't happen all the time.
When you want to be the best that you can possibly be, look at yourself. Look at yourself. Love all your imperfections. Society is so wrong on what the ideal woman should look like, should her hairstyle should be, all of that. You know what? In the world of falsehoods, be the truth. Because I am. One, I ain't got money for that surgery. And two, I've never been on medication my entire life. I'm going to have my stomach cut off to look good for who? To be accepted by whom? It doesn't matter. Love who you are at this moment. And the changes that you need to do will be like, woo, it's going to be Hello, like Squiggy from Laverne and Shirley. You're going to know exactly what you need to do because you trust yourself that much to know what it is you need to feed that soul and nurture that body.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here today. We have 3 more shows before the end of May. Could you freaking believe this? So next week is going to be a fun week. We're going to be talking about trusting in the process on Tuesday. So having faith and that belief system that's associated with that, and how to change that belief system. There was a request by Desiree to go over that list that I had been talking about. So we can make sure that we start off with that list, and then, but I definitely want to get that conversation and trusting the process. You have no idea how pertinent trusting the process is to your belief system and living the life you want to live. Then on Thursday, believing in yourself. We're going to talk about your life, you live it. And we're going to have our special guest on, Ephraim Silva's going to be in the house. You know, everybody loves Ephraim, he's a fan favorite. And then we're going to end the last day, which is Tuesday, May 30th, with talking about any and all possibilities, believing in any and all possibilities. So I want to thank everybody for coming today. Guru, any last minute things before we do our sign off?
Nope. And next week we'll go over the 5-piece inviting pillars, because one of them that I should have mentioned today is very important, which is the 5th one, the 4th one actually, is to unfuck your thoughts and master the art of evicting negative connections. All that negativity that we've been carrying like a bag of gifts that shows up and be like, surprise, I'm here to ruin your day. And we allow it. So that's it. My granddaughter came, so this is it. Come here. Let me just say so she can say goodbye if she's good. This is my grandbaby. Hi, Lori.
Hey, Mike, how are you?
I'm good, and you?
She looks fabulous. You look wonderful.
You look at her. Stop. Tell me more.
Yeah.
She's such a mini me sometimes. We're here to write a business plan.
Wait, she's a mini you. She's a mini you, true enough, with a little side of Tiffany for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's my 20-year-old. Yeah.
So we will see you all. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Seriously, make it count. Make it count. Enjoy it. All right. Yeah. So let's sign off. Here we go. From the Badass Buddha, remember, be you, be real, and be extraordinary.
And from the Gladiator Guru, remember to breathe in the beauty.
Breathe out the bullshit.
And breathe out the bullshit. Namaste.
Yeah, I heard it in the background.